didn't want to come. I think Tom's planting.
Probably thought it was going to be hot.
Yep. This is nice.
Valerie? This is Chelsea right down here. You gotta get Chelsea.
She did? Now that's better, Medill, but we do it now all the time.
Come on.
Let me get it on tape here. Jeff said he'd like me better if I do this for him.
It's going to be on DVD. It better be. If I'm watching Channel 11,
it'll be a show about aging. And what would you guys be in?
I don't care. That's fine.
We're going to be on Animal Planet. I think it's going to show how we age gracefully.
That's right. How as time goes on, people can really preserve
Exactly.
what they've got.
Exactly.
What was that?
Oh. You're being recorded.
Oh.
Major revelation.
Yeah.
Boy, I wish that old drink lady come back.
Well, Valerie. Well, I've been on smells all day.
Jeff is paying me to do this, but he's just.
Yeah, I probably told you that.
I got it.
It's probably on film now. Valerie, did you get mine?
I'm going to the other side.
Caffeine and I just feel like I'm not a body
I just try and ignore those people.
That's all right. I'll catch you. So,
They call her back.
She'll be back.
No
I don't have any gray.
I'm looking for a spot.
Oh, you need that balding spot. No balding.
Hey, Valerie, there's people that'd like to sit in.
I'm thin, you can get by.
Are you at the 50-year table as well? You've aged so well.
I know.
You have aged so well. Did Kate come? She's at home. She can go to babysit.
No, she just wanted to stay home and enjoy a little peace and quiet.
It was wild at times. Logan loved it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Logan went over to
Who's the adult over there? Huh?
Paige.
Oh, right. Well, Logan must have liked it, right?
Yeah. Are they done having children? Tom and Paige? I mean, are they going to have more?
No, I don't think so. Oh, not according to Paige.
I don't blame her.
I think she's probably got to talk to Tom about that.
No, I see her. Somebody else.
All I know is Mrs. King came out with her little dog and her flashlight. I know.
It's all,
Gallery.
it's never changed.
Where are you now? I like it.
I forgot about her.
I forgot about that.
And Frank Whitford. Well,
What's fulfillment?
I work with publishers.
picture, I didn't
So you have to deliver books and publications, magazines,
Alright.
and stuff like that.
Been doing it long?
Yeah, almost 20 years.
Wow.
Thanks. I'm so glad you captured that on film. Oh, great.
Thanks, Linda. Jeff told me he'd pay me for every minute.
Right, but can you do something besides go over that?
This is the only class he wants. I said it would be a little boring, but what the heck? Huh? Marty, what's wrong with him? Does he say that all the time?
don't you remember, Laura, every time something would happen to them on their own, even though they just got up out of 10 hours sleep, or they're tired.
Thing I should do or will do, people like Marilyn, the people who help on the alumni committee, and I'll name them later on in the program, but you know, it's always people like that that make the thing successful. It's easy to be, by the way, my name is Mike Ardenbright. I'm the 1999 alumni president. But it makes it easy when you have a great group of people to really do the work. And people like Mike Woolridge back there, he's talking to the computer. I'm not sure what he's telling him, but he's talking to it. And Al Maven. And of course for the Panorama Schools for letting us use this nice facility. Can you hear me okay, everybody? Dick, you hear me okay back there in the corner? You know, I just want to, just a short address here. You know, I think we're all kind of crying for the old gym, you know, on the hot nights, no tornadoes, but it's got to be one or the other, right? And so, just a couple of things I think it's worthwhile reflecting. Kim, can you hear me any better now? Okay. Last time I'll ask. But if you notice in the news media, they're always doing their 20th century look-back programs. And it probably wouldn't hurt us just to spend a few minutes tonight maybe looking back in the 20th century, since this will be the last alumni banquet with the 19 before it. You know, everyone has their own story. There are some people here tonight that could probably tell their story and it would probably capture most of the 20th century, wouldn't it? So we all have our story. You know, I've got my stories. Just in case you haven't heard, I'll tell you about the time out at Valley Number 1 school when we used to walk 5 miles to school,
Go both ways.
up to our waist in snow, and it was uphill both ways. But, you know, when you look back on it, we've come a long ways, not only in the building facilities, but in what goes on inside the school. And I might just talk just a few minutes about both of those. But you look back and, you know, most of us started in the country schools that have any kind of gray hair or any hair left at all. You know, talking about days when we didn't have the REC, REA, whatever we called it back then, had lanterns hanging on the ceilings. You recall a wire stretched across the front of the room that held the curtains for the Christmas program. I remember those things. And I remember coming to town school, all those mean, evil people here in Panora that we had to come and associate with. But I think we worked in quite well, you know. So I was just kidding. Got a glare back there.
Mike, back up just a little bit.
Back up a little bit. Okay, thank you. So, looking at the buildings, you know, the Linden School. We all know that next week will be the last class that's going to go through the current Linden building. You know, the Linden School started out 1 mile east of town, as Ruth Kettleson told me, and, you know, she kind of filled me in on all this stuff here, and she's a wonderful reference for any history of Linden and thereabouts, so talk to her if you need to know more. And then, of course, they moved it to Linden, and the first one was a wooden building, and I can't believe it said this, but it said, much to the chagrin of the students, the building burnt down in 1895. And didn't say anymore, but in 1895, the same year, they built a new brick building. It just amazes me how quick we can turn things around in those days. You know, building burns down, okay, well fine, we'll build another one. We built a 2-story building, or they did down there. And the first 4-year high school class started in 1905, and prior to that, high schoolers, you know, went to the Guthrie County High School if they finished their high school. The present building that you see down there was completed in 1930, and the last high school graduation was in 1962. Is there anybody here from that last class from Linden? And of course, you know what happened in 1962, or you did. I was out of the country at the time, but you organized in the Panora Linden, and so it goes. You know, so that's kind of a little bit of the history of Linden. As far as Panora, you know, we might have to go back into the 1800s a little bit, back into the 19th century. It says in the history that the first public school opened in Panora in 1853. And I might say later on, you know, the fiasco, or whatever you want to call it, between Guthrie and Panora, you know, with the courthouse. Well, I have no idea what went on, but I suspect there was some appeasement going on. So anyway, the courthouse, when it was moved back to Guthrie Center, guess what? There was some law passed where they established county high schools, and so I suppose there's a little appeasement. Panora got the high school in the old courthouse building. So that happened in the late 1800s. So then in 1873, I believe it was, or 1877, I guess, they built a building that was on kind of the southwest corner of the downtown square there, south of that. And then, you know, things were growing. And it says, you know, so that was 1877. So by 1897, they'd outgrown it, and they built the old Guthrie County High School, or the Panora High School that I graduated from. And, you know, the school that you're probably more familiar with, you know, the prints that are out there on the table that are free for you, by the way, if anybody wants to take them. And so again, in 1930, the county high school concept was abolished, and then it became Panora High School, and of course in 1962 it merged with Linden to become Panora Linden. And then in 1974, you know, we moved into the current facility that you're seeing here right now. And in 1989 it became Panorama. In 1998 rather, this high school was renovated, and of course you see the beautiful new facility up on top of the hill. And so it goes. It just seems like a blur, doesn't it? Things change Change is always going to be with us. We just have to adopt to it. Most change is good. Not sure all of it is. We might want to look maybe at what happened inside the school. For sure, when the school in the early years, they were very devoted to the basic curriculum. That was good, but I think the schools now offer a little bit more. I'm not sure that maybe we've gotten away from some of the basics, but Kelly, how many showed up tonight? Just yourself, not too many. Okay, all right. But somewhere out there in the distance are some young people that are going to take over from us, and I think they're starting to see maybe some of the things we did good and maybe some of the things we didn't do so good. But I think we took out some things maybe we should put back in. Talk about how discipline is administered inside of the school. Who wants to tell me the story about Mr. Sloan? Has anybody got a story about Mr. Sloan? Anybody here? Yeah. He was a rather infamous person, and I think he used physical force maybe once in a while. Is that true? And some of those stories true. But on the other hand, maybe he was had enough character to know when to stop. I don't know. But certainly discipline inside the school. If you talk to our current administrators, they tell you that it's different. You hear things about rights of students. You hear things about rights of parents. We've removed God from the school. I'm not sure what we put back into it in God's place, but we certainly removed it. So there will always be change. And so I guess maybe for the young people, and maybe just to remind some of us not so young people, I'd like to quote just a little bit from Dr. Stephen Covey. I don't know if you've read any of his books, but he's Principle-Centered Leadership and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People are a couple of them. But he says this, if you think you're losing the compass, well, the compass.
Good evening. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate being here. Seeing the turnout, well over 400 people. Fantastic. We can get that many people back. Special night tonight for me. My dad's 50th. Introduced, I remember 25 years ago when our class was graduating, which is 25th. I don't know, a day since then. And certainly got a lot wiser in the last 25 years. Before we go on, I'd like also to congratulate the class of 1999. Also, a special pleasure for me to see Kelly Baker here. So Kelly, since she was a baby, Tori's been a dear friend of mine since 1970. We used to ride around town in a black Ford Fairlane. Scooping the loop, but we always had a bunch of freshman boys. 1974, 25 years. A long time, it seems very short. Seems like yesterday that we were here in this gym graduating. I think we've got 16 from the class here. I'm going to start at the back and introduce people I'd like to stand. Introduce them with their original names, not their married names, so that you might all remember them as I do. Starting in the back, Beth Hayden, Jeff Arterbright, Jim Jackson, Linda Worley, Marty Goodrich, Lynn Gray, Susan Clark, Cindy Word, Greg Smith, Greg Firebot back in the end there, Chuck Stopwick, Mike Bull, Jeff Jensen, Linda Westcott, Christy Hyland, and Cheryl Holloway. The class will be brought back from I'd like to have a special thanks to Jeff Arterbright. Jeff is really responsible for all of us being here tonight. He took it upon himself several weeks ago to call, I believe, everyone in our class. As I mentioned, there's 36, and I think he contacted every one of them and has given us updates on several who were able to be here tonight. But Jeff, appreciate your efforts and the age is telling on us. We all have passed around a note, and we now have everyone's email address. But I think our age is telling. I know several people running for coffee after we got done eating. So, just a couple of memories, and once you get back to reminiscing with your own memories from your high school classes. But, as I mentioned before, the class of 74 was the first one to graduate from this high school. We were in the class here in about 3 weeks, maybe a little bit more. Some of us skipped out a few of those days. But great memories of watching the school being built, and then finally the excitement of being in the school and being the first graduating class. But, a lot of our memories go back to the old high school up on the square. That's where we spent almost the entire 4 years, and really had a great time there. High school was, as a whole school experience at Kenora Linden was a great experience. Kenora and Linden has been blessed with some very fine teachers over the years. And as I looked at preparing for the alumni banquet, I couldn't help thinking of the teachers that we had going back from his maternity kindergarten and up through some of the other teachers that we had in grade school and junior high and high school. And really that's what education is about. And it's about the teachers, and that's why we're all here tonight. And as Mike said, things have changed in our schools dramatically. So I think that each of us, with our support of this school and the schools that we live at now, and the support of the teachers in this school, can make a difference. I know the teachers in this school system made a definite difference in my life. Thank you.
Don't take that personally. Line 1966. 1, 2, 3. 1967. 1967. 68.